Hey everyone, this is TC, your guiding chariot. Welcome to your daily reading for April 10th, Wednesday. We're just going to get into it. We've got a bunch of aspects to talk about, and when I say a bunch, I mean a bunch. Alright, so, I don't even know where to start, there's so many. So, we're going to save the big ones for later. So we have some kind of simple ones. So we have the moon in a sextile to the sun. This is great. This one just kind of makes... It kind of puts us in that like let it be type of situation on a personal level, especially. You know, your needs are kind of meeting your wants. You kind of know where you want to go. You know what you want to do. That bit just seems really easy. There's not too many worries there, which I like. So at least when it comes to your desires and things like that, everything you kind of see clearly the way ahead. You kind of know what you want. You know how to go after it. That is all going pretty easily. We've got the moon in a sextile to Uranus. This is also kind of good. This may kind of kick up your feelings of independence, self-reliance, ambition. Probably will give you a little more energy. You know, Uranus is a very electric planet, so it's going to give you that little bit of kick to like get up and do and change some things up, which is going to help with this sextile with the moon and the sun. You kind of know where you want to do and you have the energy to go out there and do it. Could be a little spontaneous as well. That electric energy from Uranus, they may just pop into your head. You're like, oh, okay, well, let's go, let's do it. How about, like, why not? Why wait? Those are the kind of a little more physical and a little more mundane of the aspects. The rest, I think, are going to be a little more big picture. Let's put it that way. So, where do I want to start? Where do I want to start? You know, we're just going to start. We're just going to random. So Moon is going to be in opposition to Jupiter, which, by the way, is going to go retrograde. We'll talk about that in a minute. But this Moon in opposition to Jupiter. Normally, this can bring some extravagance, indulgence, sometimes overeating. You just kind of go into excess. It's not really helping anything. It's not really hurting anything, but it's not really supporting. You just kind of want more. You just kind of want some expansion. With Mercury going into retrograde, and it will already be in retrograde by the time this opposition starts. Essentially, it's a similar energy, but instead of going externally, it's going to be reflected inward. This can also kind of make us a little lazy in a way. Lazy in a sense that we want it to be easy. We kind of just want things to come. And again, this is going to be on an internal level. So let's talk about the retrograde first. That'll make this a little easier to break down. So, sorry if I'm a little scattered. Jupiter going retrograde definitely is going to be a lot more, obviously, reflective, introspective, but the focus here is going to be a little more philosophical, possibly a little spiritual because of the effect of Jupiter, and because of its placement. Jupiter is going to be in Sagittarius. Amazing, that's great. With that being said, the focus of Jupiter this year, because of its placement, it's really going to be focused on, sorry about that, relationships, romance, things like that. So there is going to be kind of a review of, beliefs, how you feel about something, even the spiritual side. There could be an evaluation of your spiritual beliefs and how that relates to how you view other people, how you connect to people. But it's kind of heavy in that regard. And then you have that in opposition to our moon, which is our feelings. And again, when things are in opposition, they're not necessarily against each other, but they really don't know how to help each other. So the emotional connection to these kind of deep philosophical kind of revelations you're kind of going to be processing. Like the feeling today isn't going to be there, so it's I almost want to say it's going to be a little autonomous, which isn't the greatest thing when we're talking about philosophies and spirituality and things like that. So it's an interesting kind of mix of things. But during this retrograde, that's really where the introspection, the reflection is going to be happening. Which kind of makes some sense. Like the past couple days, I have just been like fawning over like spiritual texts. I went and got a whole brand new set of books, and I got some new decks just because I was like, I want to know more. That's kind of what this reflective period is kind of putting you through. And I think it's also going to make you question some things as well. I say that because of some of our other aspects. So we have Mercury in a sextile to Pluto. This is going to be, so obviously your mind and your thoughts are already kind of wrapped up in these things that Jupiter retrograde is going to be kind of spurring. Actually, before we talk about Mercury and Pluto, we have another aspect with Mercury. It'll be in a square to our moon square Mercury. This is going to make the mind restless and excitable. It's almost like it's going to be running a million times a minute, you know, with all these questions, with all these new ponderings and mysteries, and I almost feel like your like unconscious or your subconscious mind is going to continually be interrupting your conscious mind. You know, all these like new questions, new thoughts, new ideas, just kind of like bubbling. You're like, okay, I'm not trying to think about that right now. I'm trying to like focus on my work. I'm trying to have a discussion about what's for dinner, and you keep having these kind of deep-seated questions pop up. So that may be happening today. What's going to make that even trickier, not that it's a bad thing, but what's going to like add to that is the sextile between Mercury and Pluto. Pluto's going to add intensity to it. Pluto is going to bring up some topics that may be a little more mysterious or philosophical. You okay, Leo? That was interesting. Sorry, that was my cat. That was a choice, sir. Where was I? It's also going to make it more probing. Remember, Pluto is that really deep, intense planet. So not only are you going to be having these new questions, having these new kind of queries, you are really going to want to get to the nitty-gritty of them. You're really going to want to pick it apart and understand every little piece. So there's all of that kind of rolled into one. On top of that, told you, there's a lot today. On top of that, you have the Sun in a square to Saturn. This, I think, so we already have that aspect with our Sun, the Moon sextile Sun, that let it be, kind of ease. You know, like I said, your wants and your desires going to be lined up pretty easily. The Sun square Saturn, externally, as far as your actions, when you start to execute these wonderful, beautiful thoughts that you're having, it's going to feel challenging. This aspect a lot of times can bring challenges that may cause depression. You may not meet your goals. You know, you may feel restricted or weighed down by tasks, responsibilities. Saturn is our restrictive planet. It's trying to put you into a little box. So it's almost like there's just so much going on. I'm trying to like piece them all together. There's kind of like so much going on. You have this moon sextile the sun, so internally your thoughts are right, you're feeling good, it's easy for you to figure out, okay, this is what I want, this is how I can get it. But when you go to get it, that's where this Saturn influence is going to make you feel restricted. It's going to make it hard to get out of that box. It's going to be hard to get to the other side of it. Plus, on the inside, you also have all this introspection and this kind of questioning and pondering of things. I think a big part of it, and a reason why I said that this is going to be on a philosophical and spiritual level, especially philosophical. We also got the rune today, or our rune today is Thursday's rune of the thorn, also the rune of Thor's hammer. A lot of times this is a great thing. Not saying it's not a great thing now, but this rune can speak to passion, it can speak to overcoming obstacles, challenges, bullying, overpowering. I think what is really coming up with this rune This rune can symbol successfully challenging the status quo, or challenging like outdated beliefs and outdated systems, outdated programs. I think that's a lot of what's coming up, especially with this, the Jupiter aspect and Jupiter going retrograde. We're kind of going in to reprocess what it is we believe in, what it is we value, and how we want to function, and how things should operate in our world. And I think that's going to make us see things. And it's almost it's funny, it's happening on day one. It's almost kind of like the things that don't line up with that, or the things that we deem are, wrong or inappropriate or anything like that, especially when we're talking about the status quo. So this could be things at work, or how things are run, or just larger systems that you're a part of. Let's call it the inadequacies of those things could be highlighted. So you're going to see them in a much different way, and it's almost kind of like they're going to be like highlighted, so they're going to be really intense and in your face. So it's almost like you're starting off seeing all of that, and then you have this retrograde period to really process and think about, why is this wrong? How should it be done differently? What can I do to shift that? And then maybe also, finding, and learning about different philosophies, different schools of thought, and how that can be applied to this situation, or your personal situation, whatever is going on. So there's a lot of this intellectual kind of mental processing, that I think is really going to redefine your belief system. So lots going on when we think about the astrology of today and the next coming weeks during this retrograde period. Going to be a lot mentally going on. Yeah, that was a lot to talk about. So sorry if that felt a little scattered. I'm just trying to piece all of that together with my, baby astrological knowledge. I hope that made sense to everyone. But yeah, just a lot going on. We'll probably end up talking about Jupiter retrograde again as the weeks go on. It will be an interesting thing. But we're gonna get through. We've gone through retrogrades before. We just got out of one. We get to do another one. Yay! But I think this one is going to be really good. This kind of chance to reflect and really look at our beliefs and our philosophies, even if they're just personal philosophies, I think is really going to lead to some growth and some expansion. Again, this is Jupiter. There's really nothing that happens to Jupiter that is negative. Jupiter is always trying to get us more. So just something we get to work with for the next couple weeks. Be exciting. Let me tilt us down and we'll pull some cards. Yes, Leo, you're excited tonight, aren't you? Oh, let me move that over a little bit. All right. In shot, sir. There we are. All right, so I pulled the Goddesses and Sirens and Gods and Titans Oracle. Oh, I always forgot this is the one. I always want to shuffle it that way, but there's so many cards in here that the deck is so thick. See what energies are going to be helping us through this retrograde. I don't know why I wanted to, but I did. Ooh, all right. Interesting. Okay, so we've got Morgan Le Fay, Goddess of Magic. And then we also have Kuan Yin, Goddess of Compassion. Beautiful energies. I almost think this is really the balance of what I was talking about with this retrograde, how it's going to be philosophical, possibly spiritual. I think this is really where a lot of that is happening. And not necessarily magic in the hocusy-pocusy kind of sense. But again, it's to me, it's almost like the magic in what you believe in, where your faith lies, where you find magic in the world. And it doesn't have to be complete mysticism. You can find magic in nature. You can find magic in other people. You could find magic in compassion and its ability to heal. The compassion, I think, is really more in the philosophies, how people should be operating, how systems can be working together, how we can relate to each other, and have almost like a common experience, if that makes sense. Compassion for each other in the sense that we are all in this journey together. We're not having experiences that are completely individual or unique. They are shared. This is a shared human experience. I almost wonder if that's where the compassion side is really coming in. And again, I'm just throwing things out there. You may be feeling different, and that is perfectly fine. This is your journey as well as it is mine. So for you, take that as it comes. But I feel like that's really what these two guiding energies are here. Magic as in where our faith lies, what we personally believe in, and then having compassion and how we exercise that with the people in our lives, whether they're inner circle or acquaintances or strangers. How we can relate to each other. It's quite an interesting shift. And I also talked about how Jupiter's focus this year is on romance and relationships, so that compassion may also figure into that as well. I just feel like this retro is going to really get us to question things. Even sitting here talking about it, I feel so like all over the place. Or that could be the Mercury aspect. Maybe I'm already feeling it and getting all kinds of excited. Who knows? All right. Spirit, what do we need to know about today as we start this Mercury, as we start this Jupiter retrograde and really go through this period of introspection? How can we utilize this energy and this alignment to our advantage? Six of Cups, bottom of the deck right now. So the number 5 popped into my head, which is why I stopped at 5. I normally go to 6. Oh, look at that. 5 of Swords. That's always exciting. This 5 of Swords, I'm almost getting a sense. This isn't okay. This okay. We're just gonna go with it. So this 5 of Swords, I almost feel like I don't feel like this is a specific incident or a specific conflict, like between you and another person or between you and a group. I feel like this is just. It feels bigger than that. It feels like a theme or like a more global problem. And I don't mean global as like something the world's going through, but it's like an overarching theme. It's not, you and a coworker. It's the betrayal, like that type of betrayal that happens, in many different circles. I feel like it's questioning those type of circumstances. I talked about challenging the status quo when we talked about our rune. It's kind of like that. It's that type of conflict. It's a more general idea, but you're almost looking at it and looking at the multiple facets that it encompasses. And I say that because I'm really drawn to, I hope it'll focus. You can kind of see behind the swords, like in the background, you can kind of see there's almost like facets in the background. Like you're looking at a point, like it all comes to a point in the background. But it's like there's all these like different faces. Like there's one here, and then you can see that the edge. Sorry, I'm trying to do it this like in a mirrored in the viewfinder. You can see this edge, and here's another facet. There's another edge, another facet. So it's like it's the same issue, it's the same problem, but there's so many different perspectives and angles that you can look at it that maybe you didn't consider before. And look at that. Then we have the Princess of Pentacles. To me, this is us taking these perspectives and questioning them and processing them. This is symbolizing our potential for growth and expansion and processing and growing. Definitely the growing through this kind of questioning process. Ooh, Magician. wisdom, understanding, power. Power for sure. 6 of Swords. So moving into more peaceful waters, moving into a calmer state of mind. We have the 5 elevating to the 6. So again, that idea of growth. Not huge growth, which is 5 to a 6, but that's okay. It's still growth. It's still elevation. It's almost like we're starting to like get the pieces and fit them together. This is only day 1 of the retrograde, so we still got a while to go. But there is this sense of, we're slowly going to be looking at things and almost seeing the pieces instead of the whole, if that makes sense. Like we're not just going to see, unfair treatment. We're going to see, how this treatment is making the victim feel, the source of the resentment in the person delivering the treatment, the circumstances that surround both, the interaction between the two, the interaction between the aggressor and others. Like it's almost like you're going to see all these other viewpoints and see the events that led up to this moment. And I think that will give you some more compassion to it. Now, does that mean you're going to approve it? Of course not. It's still an issue that you don't believe in. I'm not saying that this is going to get you to be like, oh, actually that abuse was totally fine. But I think you'll have a broader, more big picture understanding of these conflicts that happen in your world. And look at that. Oh, this makes me happy. King of Swords. So this is a very clear-minded, forward-thinking energy. Very, very smart, very intellectual, very cerebral. So we're starting off this retrograde processing things in an analytical way. I don't think that's where this is going to end. This is kind of like part 1. We have to analyze it on a mental level before we can process it on, an emotional or a spiritual level. Yeah, yeah. So we have remember the 6 of Cups was bottom of the deck, underneath that, 5 of Wands, and then the 10 of Swords. To me, this is really kind of resembling the end of the childhood phase. The old beliefs of, oh my God, why isn't life like this? Life should be like that. People should operate and just get along and be happy, dappy. Not saying that that's not true, but what we used to believe, we are now questioning because we are now conflicted with it. As we have grown and gone through experiences, we find that what we thought isn't always the case. And I think that old belief is really what's being questioned and thrown out. Now, does that mean you're just kind of expecting everything to be all gloom and doom? No, of course not. But we're now kind of understanding a new way to function in this world and to work with, the energies or the circumstances that befall us. This is going to be, I think this is going to be a very interesting time over these next few weeks. And it's really because of Jupiter. This is going to be a very interesting energy to kind of play with. And I say interesting in a sense because I think it is going to make us question a lot of things. And I think these are going to be things that we normally didn't question. It may have things that have been bothering us because obviously there's some conflict within us. But I don't think we've ever questioned it to the level that this retrograde is going to get us to do so. Which I think is going to be great because like I said, we are really going to probe and try our best to understand to the fullest extent what is going on in the world around us and how all these pieces play together, how we play together with it. Like this is some big stuff. Like I'm even having, granted it could be because it's almost midnight, but I'm almost having trouble piecing it together myself because there's so much. Like with all these aspects, all these energies that are all kind of getting mushed under the same magnifying lens and all being examined at the same time. And this retrograde is really going to be about, one, taking all of these things, breaking them down into individual pieces, seeing how the pieces work on their own, and then how can they best be put together in a way that is right and just and honest to what we believe in and how we think things should be. Again, here we are as the magician. It's up to us. We are defining our belief system. And I think a lot of it is going to be changing over the next few weeks. For the better, of course. But I think it is going to take some readjustment. Like, I almost want to say this Five of Swords is a super, super close-up of this, like, spherical gem. Like, these are facets on the face of, like, a diamond. This is super, super close up. These swords are coming in and they shatter it into pieces. We then are taking those pieces and realigning them, refitting them back together. We're fashioning them again into something different, into something new. So it's still the same blocks, but put together in a different way. And then you could even imagine that, this King of Swords is standing on a structure built out of those pieces. It's that same kind of color, those same facets. We really are building a new sense of understanding and believing. Yeah, I feel like this retrograde is going to change a lot, if not all of us, in a very, very interesting way. It may not feel super profound, but we are definitely going to be different people once we get out to the other side of it. And I don't think it's going to be a hard retrograde. I think it's just going to be a lot of questioning and a lot of processing. That's really what I'm seeing, and there's going to be a lot of growth. There's a huge growth potential here with the Princess of Pentacles. Again, it's almost like she's holding the seed. So a lot of growth coming up. And again, not going to be too stressful. We got the Six of Swords. We're moving into calmer waters, but there is going to be a lot of processing. All right, long video. Sorry, I try to keep them short, but this one just had so much to talk about. Just get out there. I know today might feel a little hard because of that Sun square Saturn aspect. Just do your best to push through it. And again, your mind, may be racing a million miles today. If you need to center, take the time to do so. If you just need to sit in your office, take a few breaths before you come back out, that is totally fine. Take that moment, but know that may be a thing. You may have a lot of subconscious thoughts bubbling up, just kind of interrupting and popping in. That's okay. Listen to them and then let them go. Try your best to not get stuck on one, because if you get stuck on one, another one is literally going to follow right behind. So you're not really going to be able to process a lot of them in that moment. I will say, if something super profound pops up, you may want to make a note, take out your phone and put a little note in there, or if you keep a little journal or notepad nearby, you can jot it down, process it later. But today I think there's just going to be a lot. And like normal retrograde energies, it's normally really intense at the beginning and the end. So right now is going to be real electric and real da-da-da-da-da-da-da. So it may be more helpful in the moment to write it down and then move on, okay? And then come back to it later. Interesting. One last thing before I let you go, I do want to add on this sense of compassion. I have been reading Self-Compassion, a book by Kristen Neff. Absolutely love it. I started reading it for completely different reasons. But I keep thinking about it, looking at this compassion card and thinking about this Saturn aspect and all this introspection. I want to make sure that you guys also have compassion for yourself. Don't get too judgmental. Don't get too hard on yourself. If you have a hard time focusing today because all these thoughts are popping up, know that that's just what's happening. That's just a normal part of the human experience. No need to get hard on yourself because of that. One, it's not going to help. Two, this is natural. It's almost like yelling at yourself because you're breathing. You need to breathe. It's going to happen. And even as you go through this introspection, you may find, that your beliefs, or your actions, maybe your past actions have been counterintuitive to this new belief system. Again, have some compassion. You didn't know then what you know now, or you didn't see things that way. You did the best you could in that moment, so don't beat yourself up over things from the past. It's not going to help you. It's not going to change anything. If anything, just be like, hey, I know you did the best you could. I was trying. I know differently now, or I feel differently now. I can change how I operate in the future. So I just want to say, have a level of compassion for yourself as well. I feel like some of you, this energy might feel kind of heavy with this Saturn square. You know, don't be hard on yourself. One, it won't change anything, it won't help anything, it's just going to create more struggle and more suffering. Don't do that to yourself. You don't deserve suffering on top of that. Like, it's not a thing. Alright? Alright, I'm going to wrap up there. Wrapping up, I promise. Alright, thank you for hanging in. I know this was a longer video, I just had a lot I wanted to fit in here and talk about. But have an amazing day. Lean into these energies, and you know, you're gonna get through it. Sun will rise, the sun will set, you will make it home safely, it'll be a beautiful day. Just, you got this. This rune also speaks to protection, so you are safe going through all of this. If you're the kind of person who freaks out when a planet goes retrograde, day one, here you are with the symbol of protection. So don't worry about it. It's going to be a good one, okay? All right, sending you guys out. As always, thank you for the likes, the comments, the subscriptions. I appreciate it more than I can say. You guys are awesome. You make this channel what it is. Thank you. If you have anything to share with me, if you have any questions, because I know I threw a lot out of there, if there's something you want me to maybe talk a little bit more in tomorrow's video, drop that in the comment section below so I can get to it and kind of go a little deeper if you need me to. Yeah, you can DM me on Instagram too if you don't want to leave it in the comments. DM me at The Guiding Chariot. And as always, if you want to book a personal reading, all that info will be in the description box. Take care, everyone. Love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.